What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today is the day that many of us in the high gain guitar amplifier community have been waiting for years. Today is the day that I quit YouTube. Just kidding, you guys aren't getting rid of me that easy. Today we are checking out the brand new PRS MT100 Mark Tremonti signature 3-channel amplifier. Let's do it. Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, and what I do is I take all sorts of awesome high gain related guitar equipment, I record it with a simple SM57 setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into East Hand or thrash riffs, dropsy hardcore riffs, and dudes whose knees need 3 days to recover from playing a show, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on the way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks! Alright guys, so today is a day that many of us have been waiting for a long time. The MT100 has been rumored and has been mildly leaked, I guess. I mean, there have been some rumblings going around about this amplifier on the internet for quite a long time, and it has really fueled the fire of people to want to get their hands on this thing, to check it out, to see it out in the wild, and today is finally that day. The MT100 is here, it has been released to the general public, and we're gonna check it out. Now before I get any further in this video, PRS has provided this amp for me in order to make this video for you guys, and even though I'm super excited at the opportunity to be working with PRS for the launch of this amplifier, that is in no way gonna change my opinions on this amp. So everything that you guys hear me saying are all 100% my thoughts. PRS does not get to see this video before it goes live, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys as I always do, so keep that in mind. Let's go over the specs real quick, and then we'll get into a whole bunch of sound demos. We're gonna be playing a bunch of different guitars and tunings, different pickups, so I can really kind of show you guys what this thing is capable of. At least with my terrible meat mallet hands, I'll show you, to the best of my playing ability, which is not very good, but hopefully you guys will get the picture. So the MT100 is a full-sized 3-channel amplifier. I believe that this was built off the basis of the MT15. If you guys have not heard the MT15, it's a lunchbox 15-watt amplifier. It's the first one that really caught the attention of the metal community as one that could actually hang in a band setting, that actually had decent headroom, and it also had an amazing clean channel, and the gain channel sounded incredible as well. It's been an extremely popular amp ever since it was released, and they basically wanted to take that and expand it into a larger 100-watt amp with tons of headroom and also give it an additional channel. The MT15 just had the clean and it had the high gain channel. Well, now we've got a second channel that is a crunch channel, and this is based off of Mark's Dumble. From what I know, he has a Dumble overdrive special. He has a couple of them, but this is based off one in particular, and I think that that was the holdup on getting this amp out to the public. They wanted to make sure that this channel was exactly to Mark's liking. He wanted to make sure this amp was basically exactly the way he wanted it, which I think is commendable, to spend time getting your signature piece of gear exactly right, as opposed to just being like,
oh, okay, good enough,
and then launching it out into the public. So as far as features go, guys, this is a pretty simple amplifier. I mean, we've got 3 different channels. All 3 channels have their own individual EQ controls, which I think that a lot of people are gonna be really excited about that, because that's not something that you see on a lot of high gain amplifiers. Each individual channel having its own controls, including presence, master volume, and gain. Like, you're gonna be able to set up all 3 of these channels exactly the way that you want them without having to compromise between the channels. In the back of the amp, we have an effects loop that is not foot switchable. That baby is always on. We have external bias points, and that's it. Like it's basically as simple as a modern high gain tube amp is gonna come these days. I find that refreshing. There's nothing on here that I don't need. Everything is well laid out. Everything is well thought out. This amp has 8 12AX7 preamp tubes, which leads me to believe that each individual channel probably has a couple of its own tubes for the gain staging and stuff. We've got 4 6L6 power tubes, and those cannot be changed to EL34. They are 6L6, and that's what you're getting. That's what you're gonna stick with, whether you like it or not. And one thing I do wanna note, one of the first things when I pulled this amp out of the box that I noticed was how massive the output and power transformers are in this thing. So I'm gonna guess that this thing is probably going to be capable of lots of clean headroom. Daddy-like. So let's go ahead, let's actually jump into some of the tones of this amplifier. For this demo, we are going through the Mesa 412 1999 traditional cab with the stock vintage 30s, SM57 on that vintage 30. There will be no post-processing on any of the audio that you hear. For the intro clip, I was using my Balaguer Typhon with a Seymour Duncan distortion in the bridge. We were boosting it with the MXR M77 badass modified overdrive, and just to refresh you, here is that tone again on the lead channel. So right off the bat, this amp has a very, very thick tone overall to it. From what I know, Mark was really into the rectifier and the Bogner Uberschall, and this kind of, the MT15 was kind of an amalgamation of both of those things. I'm hearing very much the gain channel from the MT15 in here. One thing to note right off the bat, this is a high gain amplifier. We are on a high gain channel. There's gonna be some hiss. So you're gonna want a 4-cable method this thing if you want your amp to be silent when you're not playing. I would say honestly, sitting next to it here in the room with the volume up loud, it's really not anything out of the ordinary, probably about the same as you would find in most 5150s. So if you can handle that preamp hiss from the high gain channel, you can handle this thing. But yeah, that's the high gain. Let's check out the lower gain and clean sounds. I know, blasphemy here on Belligerent Amateur Central, but these amps have incredible, or at least the MT15 had an incredible clean channel. I want to hear how this one sounds. All right, guys, PRS SE McCarty 594 single cut. We've got the stock 5815 LTS pickups in this thing, and I have the bridge currently split. Here's what we got. So really, really clean, really kind of chimey on that top end especially. We've got the middle rolled down, we've got the bass rolled up. So yeah, super, super nice, super clean channel. We've got the gain down on this thing at the moment. Let's go ahead, let's crank it up. Let's pull that master volume back before I destroy my eardrums for the last time. Even with the gain all the way up, it stays nice and clean, and actually it seems like it has a little bit more life this way. So that's it for the cleans because I don't play weak people music. Let's go over to the crunch channel, see what type of tones we can get out of this Dumble inspired crunch channel. No overdrive on, straight into the amplifier with all the controls at noon. I was messing around with this channel a little bit before we started the video. Honestly, the EQ doesn't really seem to do much of anything. The EQ moves are very, very subtle. What I did notice though is cranking that presence up to kind of pull the blanket off the speakers helped quite a bit. So this kind of reminds me of a plexi kind of just entering that breakup type phase, but it doesn't have the top end that's gonna like cut your head off. I'm gonna push the bass all the way up, honestly. We're gonna roll the mids back a little bit. Let's go ahead and dime the game and see if we can get anywhere near belligerence with this thing. All right, so honestly, we're getting more gain out of it than I was expecting. Let's go ahead, let's hit it with a hot overdrive like the Lick Laram King in yellow. That is easily 80s metal territory right there. I don't actually know how to play that song, but you guys get the idea. All right, so let's actually see how much does that treble make a difference. Alright, so if you really want that kind of top end stringiness like you would get from a vintage plexi or something along those lines, that's almost like an AC30 type top end. Just dime that treble, but that's the only control on this channel that seems to do really much of anything, so you're not really going to be able to shape that tone too much unless you use external pedals to do so, but it definitely does the thing if that's what you're looking for. So finally, over to the reason that you guys are here. I don't even know why I'm wasting your time with this stuff. Let's go over to that lead channel. All right, so right now I have no overdrive on. This is a slightly lower output pickup. By slightly, I mean it's a lower output pickup, basically along the lines of a PAF, and it's set up as you guys see here. So, very thick, it's got a good amount of compression, it's pretty smooth overall, and the way that we have it is a little bit mid-scooped, but this amp definitely can have mids for days if you wanted to. Let's roll that middle up and the bass back. And honestly, it's tight right out of the box. Like, doesn't really need an overdrive to get that percussive palm mute out of it, which I definitely am a fan of that. You guys know that. Let's dial that gain up just a little bit more. It doesn't seem like there's a ridiculous amount of compression going on or anything when you really start to push the gain, which is awesome because you don't have to worry about pushing the gain hard on the amp if you're not an overdrive user and the amp getting mushy and dark and just gross sounding. Like, we're using a lower output pickup here going straight into the amplifier with no boost, and it's still tight. The amp itself is more focused, in my opinion, on thickness and being like that wall of sound type thing than it is on clarity, much like an Uberschall or a rectifier. But cranking the gain up on it, you're not losing that clarity that is there when the gain is lower. You're just getting more, and that's not something that you see from a lot of high gain amps, honestly. You crank that gain up, things start to get fat, they start to get saggy, you start to lose the clarity that's there at the lower gain settings. Like, this thing is handling having the gain pushed really well. Even so, with that ridiculous amount of gain, it seemed to stay pretty clear. It didn't really compress and like remove all the high end. It's noisy though, but nobody should ever be playing with that much gain. Let's pull it back down to a reasonable level and let's kick on a Boss SD1 overdrive and let's see how it handles that. So with the overdrive out front, even with the lower output pickup, man, it just gets into that high gain, chunky percussive territory so quick. I really like this thing. Let's play a couple riffs with that Duncan distortion again, and then we'll move on to some active pickups and some lower tunings and see how it handles that stuff. But so far, I'm definitely a fan. All right, guys, back to the Balaguer Typhon. I have the third channel dialed in, as you guys see here. No overdrive on out front. So sounds good. This pickup is a little bit darker, a little bit more compressed. Let's roll that gain back down again. Let's hit it with an MXR GT-OD. This is a new one for me. Ooh, it responds to that overdrive extremely well. I actually really like how aggressive that is. Overall, the top end on this amp seems very smooth. It doesn't really ever get that like jagged, I guess like think of a dual rectifier, how you can really kind of get the high end to stand out and be very fizzy and sizzly. This definitely gets the sizzle with the presence control, but it never really has that like super aggressive high end. It's a little bit smoother, but again, this thing just brings the thickness. So if you are down with the thickness, this is gonna do it for you. All right, guys, real quick, one scooped out 80s style thrash riff, and then we'll move over to some active pickups. The flexibility and the overall tone of this channel is just super thick, but still punchy and percussive at the same time. Let's try some Fishmanfluence pickups. All right, guys, so Fishmanfluence Modern Ceramic in the bridge. We are on the active voicing, straight into the amplifier as you see it dialed in here. Let's try it now with an overdrive. Let's kick in that Boss SD1 again. So with this active pickup and the overdrive, we're really gonna be slamming the front end of this amplifier. We have it dialed in as you guys see here. Here's how it sounds. So I think it's finally time to play some belligerently drop-tuned riffs. Let's move on to that. All right, guys, so I have my Gibson Les Paul faded here with the Duncan Jupiter pickups in it. We are tuned down to drop C. So with no overdrive on, definitely punchy, really punchy on the low end, but I definitely want some overdrive grind, some mid-range grind out of this thing. So let's kick on that M77 again. Well, of course your ears are hurting. You're coming downstairs when it's loud. Gotta go upstairs, buddy. Go upstairs, I'm almost done. The amp never really gets muddy. It never really gets flubby. It never really sags out. Like, it does great for the low tunings, but I think the last test of that is to play something on the 7-string. So let's do that. Guys, what are you doing? All right, guys, Schecter PT Hellraiser Hybrid with the EMG 57 in the bridge. We are going straight into the amplifier. And we have it dialed in as you see it here. Last but not least, we need to hear this with an overdrive. Let's kick on that Boss SD1 one last time. Guys, that is going to do it for me today on the all-new PRS MT100 all-tube 3-channel amplifier. What do you guys think about this thing? It's been years in the making. I think pretty much everybody in the high gain community has been excited for the release of this amp. So do you guys think that this thing lives up to the hype? Do you think that it built off the MT15 platform and made it better? Or is this thing missing crucial features that you guys were expecting from it? Whatever it is, let me know down below in the comments and I will be sure to meet you guys down there to talk about it. Thanks again to PRS for sending this amplifier out to me. I had a lot of fun making this demo and I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say about it. So at the time of this video, at the time of release, I believe the price on these is going to be $1,800. You can pick them up at my Sweetwater affiliate link below if you are wanting to buy one for yourself. And that's all for me today, guys. Kyle here again. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.